All right. Hello, everybody. I am Mark from MusicInWideScreen and ProgRock.com, and I'm here today with, you know what? I'm not going to try and pronounce your name. Can you please give me the correct
It's
pronunciation?
Anneke van Giersbergen.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. We're
But
not going
Annie is fine.
to. I'm going to start. I'll go with Annie because, boy,
Yeah.
I realize, and I have a cat on my lap, so you might see a tail go by.
Oh,
There she
oh,
goes.
wow. Yeah.
So okay, she's starting. Let me
Cute.
move her out because now she's getting a problem. You can say hi, and now we go.
Oh, she's a beauty.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me ask you. You've been doing this for a little bit. Can I kind of get Annie's origin story? How did it all? When I first started the show in 2002, I was playing the heck out of a band called The Gathering, and so that's my introduction to you. But take it from wherever you want as far as your history. I'd love to hear about what it was like in the early days and what led to this momentous occasion here, this the album.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Ever since I can remember, I love music. I love
Mhm.
singing. I love dancing.
Right.
And so I've always done that. So ever since I can remember, I've been doing shows at family gatherings,
Oh yeah.
in the middle of the living room. I was one of those kids.
Right. So nobody in your
And
family is surprised about this your career here.
no,
Right.
not at all. My parents didn't even try to stop me, when I said I really seriously want to make music. And
Right.
that was an early age. I've always, I started young, taking singing lessons, started out in the school choir, the basics.
Mhm.
And got into bands from when I was 14.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
yeah, so it's my life and I love it. I love singing, I love performing. And I've been doing it. Then you blink your eyes,
Right.
and it's we're 25 years, professional career later. So and very happy with it. It's a learning curve, as everything in life is a learning curve. I live and learn every day, and through
Right.
music, it's great.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, here you're able to do what you love, and everybody wants you to be part of their bands. Do you have to say no to a lot of people that want you to guest on your? How does that kind of happen? And do you get a lot of requests, or you basically say yes to most requests, or how does that work?
I do get a lot of requests. So
Hmm.
for just like you said, just sing a track on somebody's album.
Hmm.
I'm on tour a lot, so I do one or two a year just because I love it,
Hmm.
And um, but um, so I say no to a lot of those.
Yeah.
However, when we were in the first pandemic situation, in the first
Right.
lockdown situation,
Right.
I made an effort to say like, okay, so we're all now locked inside,
Right.
and so I did. I set up some kind of a project
Mm.
to sing on on other people's albums, and for a reduced fee.
Okay.
So there was a lot of people who weren't, who were amateur bands and
Mm.
artists who kind of seized the opportunity and asked me to sing a song,
Nice.
which was fantastic for them, so they could afford it, kind of.
Right.
And I got a little bit of cash to, cash flow because
Yeah.
I couldn't tour and all my tours were canceled. So I
Right.
did like 12 of these in the
Wow.
last 6 months, and that was pretty cool. There was so many cool songs coming my way, and I
Nice.
really had to choose between like a lot of nice songs. So I did
Yeah.
that as a project, and I'm forming a Spotify playlist because they're all coming out now, and so
Okay.
I'll
That's
collect
a
them.
great thing. When that comes out, I'll make sure to link it to this video.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. So here we are. You make, I'll say, a splash for the gathering, and then Argent comes calling. Is that how the turn of events happened?
Um, what do you mean by turn of
Oh well,
events?
I mean, I'm sorry. Is that the right order? You were in the gathering, and then
Yeah.
you ended up getting a call from Mr. Lucasian about maybe guesting.
Yeah, exactly. Arin thought of my vocals on his albums for a while
Right.
back then, and just yeah, he called me and said, "We want to be on my albums," and I knew his work obviously, and
Mhm.
for his old bands and so on,
All
because
right.
he's always been a big shot in our scene, right? So
Right.
obviously I said, yeah, absolutely, and we started working then. It's a long time ago. We've always been in contact, and every so often I sing on his albums, and we made
Right.
the Gentle Storm album
Right.
together, and that was amazing to work with him so closely. So yeah, proud of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he happen? Do you happen to remember what he? I seem to have a lot of uh, members from his bands on the show. Do you happen to remember what specifically he might have heard that he was like, "Oh yeah, I definitely got to get her on one of my albums."
I'm not sure. I
Okay,
don't
I was
know
just
what
curious.
was it. Yeah, but he loved, my singing in the gathering, and he followed us around for a while. So I suppose I don't know something in particular.
Right. And I just want people to know, because it seems like, I don't know if it's a gender bias thing or something, that you have composer credits way back when, ever since at least 2000. You wrote you have composer credits, I think, on every track on Superheat. And I just want to make that clear that to people that you're not just a singer, with a great voice. You also are a writer and composer. And what was the first thing you wrote? Do you remember by any chance?
My very first thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a song when I was 13. I got my uncle's old guitar. He bought a new one. There's a hole in it and everything. But I
Right.
got it and I started writing songs. My first song, I don't know what's called, but it's about me being tired. Two chords, and
Yeah.
but it was kind of catchy. But from then on, it wasn't very good, but I did start writing
Yeah, start somewhere.
songs, melodies, vocal lines, lyrics. And in the gathering, I always wrote my own vocal lines and lyrics. And
Mm.
every so often, I would pitch in with a song we could work on.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely, I'm co-writing all that stuff. Yeah.
Nice. And I did hear somebody, I didn't even know you were doing this. Somebody mentioned that you had were doing some covers. Was it Maiden? What was it? Maiden something?
Yeah, Maiden United.
Maiden United. That's what it was.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did that come about? And what's tell me a little bit about that.
Well, this is a project of, amongst others, Ruud Jolie of Within Temptation.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And
Yes.
they're a huge Iron Maiden fan. So,
I
and they
gotcha.
have this project for a long time, and they ask several singers every now and then. They ask several singers to participate. So I did that for one or two albums. I participated in. The songs of Iron Maiden, it's heavy metal, but when you strip them down
Hmm.
to songs with acoustic instruments and just guitar vocals, and they are, but this, but they are such great songs, and
Yeah.
so such a catchy choruses and such a great lyrics, and it was a fantastic to sing those. Bruce is
I
obviously a fantastic singer, so it's great to sing his songs in
I
in this in this way.
Yeah, I could see it being a little bit. Bruce is such a iconic singer. It might
Yeah.
be a little bit. It might be a little bit. You know,
Intimidating.
intimidating. Yeah, thank you. English is my first language, but you would
Right.
know it.
Well, I'll help you out, man. No problem.
Thanks. Yeah, intimidated. Were you at all, or I mean, there were plenty of other vocalists, I assume, doing this stuff too. So you were kind of in a
Yeah,
club,
and you should never try to copy anyone else's singing,
right?
and you have to make it your own. I mean, that's the trick.
Right.
Oftentimes, is to just make it your own, and get into the spirit and the vibe of the song, and there you go.
Right, right. Well, that's awesome. I mean, I could just imagine having the opportunity. to do that and just have fun with it, you know. And so I think it's time we kind of get to this current release that's coming out. What's the release date? Do you remember off the top of your head? It's mid-February,
26th of February,
end of
yes.
February here.
26, yeah.
So I read some taglines about this. I don't have them in front of me like I hoped I would, but it comes from maybe kind of a somber place. The name of the album seems a bit somber and kind of like a cheery, you know, an attempt to kind of cheer up people. So what can you tell us about the album in your own words about the subject matter?
Mm. Well, like around a year, 2 years ago, there was a lot going on in my life.
Right.
And um, as it goes in life, everything comes at the same time, right? All
Right.
your challenges are packed in 1 year.
Right.
And for me, that was the case. There was stuff going on with my band, you know, in
Right.
professional life, but also in my marriage and my
Mm.
family life. And there was so many things going on, which were challenges for
Right.
me. And I, in short, I
Mhm.
had to write about
About it.
that. You know, I had to. The plan was to make an album with as an immediate second album with Vuur, with the metal band.
Mhm.
Um, so I started writing songs, but everything that came out of my pen
Mhm.
was soft and melancholic and
Right.
on the acoustic guitar. And initially I thought, you know what, we'll just put metal riff underneath and we're going to make it a metal album because I
Right.
needed to go forward with the band because it was kind of a task to keep them rolling, to keep them on the road, to keep,
Right.
you know, building the name because it was a new name, new band,
Right.
new album, everything. And it was kind of like a heavy, like sort of diesel train, like it's slow, but it's moving forward, but you have to keep fueling it.
Right.
And I could. It was hard. It was very hard to keep that going.
Mhm.
So whilst everything was going on, I found that it was too much and it was too much chaos in my head, and I couldn't
Right.
cope with everything at the same time. So at one point, I made a decision. Let's just hit the brakes and stop with everything and just kind of retrieve and clear my head,
Right.
get some perspective. So, what would be my next step? And so I actually retrieved to a little house in the woods, near the woods, and started writing. I already started writing these songs, but then seriously, okay, so I'm going to make solo acoustic album. No one around me,
Mhm.
and nobody telling me what to do, nobody, you know, giving me tips, pointers, anything.
Right.
And I just did that, closed my eyes, start making music, and this is what came out.
Right. And so I didn't mention it before. The album is called The Darkest Skies Are Brightest. And so you really feel like um, good things can kind of come out of bad times, right? It's really,
Yeah,
and I hear
yeah.
that a lot in the lyrics. So let me ask you this. This is maybe a little bit of a tough question for you. Maybe uh, um, it is kind of melancholic, and so it doesn't always seem like I don't feel uplifted all the time from these songs. You
No.
know, Hurricane maybe, and My Promise. I'm sorry, I saw a car is kind of a little bit more upbeat. You know, but the
Yeah,
tempos are slow and such, and so
yeah.
where do you think that you come up with kind of, and maybe because I've only heard it 3 or 4 times. Uh, where does the listener get the uplifting message from the album? Is the lyrics maybe towards the end? Keep it simple or something like that.
Songs like that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they have to maintain that balance in the album because, like you said, it's sprung out of somber or sad times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all logical to write like a somber album, but there has to be a
Mm-hmm.
spark of light, you know, in
Right.
everything you do. I mean, in everything we do, there has to be some balance. and also in a song or within the album, there has to be balance. So there has to be hope at least. So songs like Keep It Simple is really about keeping it simple, because sometimes, like in our lives, in everybody's life, because we all have our challenges,
Hmm.
things become so unclear, like as to where we have to go, what's our path in life, and
Right.
what's the best way to live it. And then sometimes a lot of times I go back to just keep it fucking simple, Annie, you know.
Right.
Because it's there's so much going on also, you know, not only in our own lives, but in the world. The world is burning at the moment.
Right.
Makes me sad, you know, a lot of times makes me super sad and super also a little bit afraid of, you know, all these people um who have such bad luck, you know, in life. And so
Right.
we have to sometimes pull the brakes and focus on the good and focus on the positive. And there's a lot of positivity in the world, only,
Right.
for instance, mass media and so who like to emphasize the heavy stuff, but there should be a balance in everything, I think.
For sure. Yeah. And there's certainly a balance in your career as far as all the different genres and levels of heaviness and levels of complexity and time signatures. So you've able to, at least in your career, certainly, um, and if you've endeavored to do that, you've certainly done it with your career. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And also, when you live your life, it goes in waves, you know. And
Right.
sometimes you feel the need for a project like, you know, heavy metal
Right.
and lots of energy and lots of outgoing energy
Hmm.
and like, for instance, now a time like this for me was really the mood was to stay inward and get things from inside out, you know, instead of
Right.
getting all the inspiration from traveling and being out there and meeting all these different people and so on. So it
Right.
is coming and going, yeah.
Absolutely. And certainly with all the collaboration you've done, either even with these maybe even with the discount bands, I'll call them this year, you must get a lot of I mean, you have such a wide range of inputs, right?
Yeah.
All these other bands you're singing for, you're co-writing for your bands. So this is the first time it's really been one way, right?
Yeah, yeah,
From here, I can't, you can't see my hands, from your inside to
yeah,
outside. So that must be
yeah.
a nice change of pace.
Yeah, that was also the biggest difference, because I always start out writing myself, and a lot
Right.
of times, especially with a metal album or a rock album, I need guitar players who can make, you know, create these metal riffs. So I have an
Right.
idea, but I can't play myself. So
Right.
lots of times these become co-writes really quickly.
Right.
And then this time I really also made a point, like I want to write everything myself.
Hmm.
However, everything may come out, maybe it's super simple, no time signatures, just
Right.
like really pure stuff. And then in the end, I asked Gijs Kolen, my producer and friend and guitar player, and to finish the album with me, so he could obviously play the guitar on it and have all these ideas about the production and everything. But so that's a big difference, that all these songs started out with my ideas and my, you know, songs, and it feels good. And then when
Hmm.
this came out, you know, it's just, I was surprised that it was kind of folky, groovy
Hmm.
shizzle coming out.
Right.
um
Definitely has a folky vibe to it. It reminds me
yeah.
of when Christina Booth does something solo. She
Ah,
her albums, I think, slide to the same amount of folkiness.
uh-huh.
So certainly,
Nice.
when I heard, like, I don't know why I saw a car just kind of stuck out at me. I think it's early days on the album, and I kind of like the beat, and the subject matter is kind of interesting. It's about, certainly about wanting things.
Yeah,
And it's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so do you find yourself wanting a lot, or do you find yourself not not liking yourself when you want something.
Yeah, I think it you kind of see it around you with the in this day and age where people are
Yeah.
very materialistic
Yeah.
minded. So a lot of the times, you know, I
Right.
think it's shifting as well. I think a lot of people really go back to basic, go back to nature, tiny house movement, you know, the whole thing,
Right.
and growing your own vegetables. It's fantastic movement,
Right.
and I think it's changing. But there's a lot of people, and sometimes you kind of catch yourself to it as well. It's like,
Hmm.
I see this car. Why isn't it mine? You
Right.
know,
Right.
no questions. Like you don't want to work for it.
You're right.
You don't want to make you put your effort in, but just I want that guy. I want that car. I
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
you know, I want this freedom.
Right.
And so the lyrics, and I made it a little bit dark. It's a cool
Hmm.
thing about the song is it's kind of a happy song when you don't listen to the lyrics, but
Yeah.
actually the
Yeah.
lyrics are a little bit darkish, you know, a little bit nasty, you know.
It's like that's your theme. It's whatever the if the tempo is kind of somber and slow, it's kind of actually a happy song. And then when it's something a little upbeat and some minor chords in there, and blah, 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 and oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
hello.
Yeah, sneaky.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to make it worth a few listens because you're
Oh,
like
yeah.
completely uh, it- opposite of the of what you might think is going on just from a first
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, balance, you know,
yeah.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
guess. So I have only seen you perform live, I think one time, maybe three times, but one show. I think I saw you in Tilberg about 3 years ago for the one of the
The
many Ariane
Arians?
shows. I'm trying to think what it was. It was at Electric
Yeah.
Castle, and
Yeah.
you were not in Human Equation show, I don't think. Were you? No, you
Oh,
were not.
yes, I
Were you?
was. Yes. And I'm starting to, yeah, I
Okay.
was. Yeah.
Oh wow, it's just so full of amazing singers. That's right, because it was you and it was Jansen's sister who from the
Yeah.
album
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and both of you. That's right. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
met briefly then at that after party at VIP thing where we took a photo together with
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
So that was just an amazing experience. I highly recommend anybody that's not seen Annie perform live to definitely go see that if that ever happens again. Is there anything penciled in that regard for this album or anything that's for you coming up?
For my own album, you mean?
Anything? What are you performing? You plan on performing live at all? I mean, I
Yeah.
know this is early days to even speculate
Yeah.
about that, but I thought I would ask.
Yeah, if I get the green light, man, I'm off.
Sure.
Because I said, yeah, we all do. We start missing it so much,
Yeah.
the traveling, the playing live. But um, I am practicing my set. I'm practicing the new song, so
Nice.
I'll be an oiled machine whenever
Okay.
I get the get go, and then um, so uh, so I hope I can do some stuff in summer outside after summer, but
Right.
like proper touring is going to be in 22. And but
Right.
I'm
For
I'm
sure.
definitely definitely going to tour extensively with this album,
Oh,
uh,
great.
because it's a new album, but also it's easy. It's just me and the guitar
Right.
mostly. And you know, I had this 3-year visa for the
Ah,
US,
oh,
and
nice.
then it was lockdown, and now I have to apply for a new visa.
Ah, it's over with,
Because
huh?
I was, yeah, because I'm thinking, you know, I can go back and forth to the US, but none of that. But if I can go again, if I get my new visa, then I'm off, man.
All right.
For sure.
That's great. And have you? I was wondering, does this solo project does this help you? Maybe can you be your own opening act for one of your other bands? Have you thought about that?
Yeah. The
So
other day, well, it was a while ago, we
yeah,
played with Vuur in,
yeah,
so we played the metal show in Europe.
right.
And then there was one time that there was a band who couldn't make it to
Ah,
open up. So I did my own opening act, but you
nice.
know, that was cool. With the acoustic guitar, it was fun.
Yeah, and I'm
But
glad. Go ahead.
yeah, why not?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because you kind of inferred that you didn't play guitar, but from when you're singing during the writing portion, but you are playing the guitar on this album. You will tour it playing the guitar at least
Yeah.
sometimes during the show.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've been doing solo acoustic shows for so long, for many years, and it's just me and the guitar.
Mm.
And but I never had a solo acoustic album, so I'm also happy that I have one now, so that can accompany the live shows that I do. Because a lot of times I'm getting asked on festival with the band,
Hmm.
and I play a solo acoustic show in the afternoon or the day after or
Right,
whatever.
a pre-show or
So
something like that. Yeah,
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 so it's easy and it's super fun because usually it's way more intimate. You're closer to the audience, and
right,
I tell a lot of stories, I crack a few jokes, and
right.
play some music. I really love the vibe of an acoustic show.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely, especially like you were saying with Maiden, when you strip down sometimes these songs, you're like, wow, these
Yeah.
are really beautiful. They hold up so well, even with not without the whole wall of sound. With just when you get
Totes.
to its basic elements, it's still
Yeah.
it's
Totes.
beautiful in its own way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great.
Yeah.
So let's kind of wrap this up with how's the best way for you for people to buy it that that goes like where most of the money goes to you. You know what I'm saying? Do you have is it a website specifically for Americas or and for Europe, or do you have any information for me on that?
Well, thank you for asking that. I have my website, AnnekevanGiersbergen.com,
Okay.
and
And it's just
you
exactly
can
your name, right? I'll get out of the way. It's
exactly
that.com. Okay.
type it in, people. And so that's directly our link to our merch store.
Okay.
We have some cool stuff. I have like all new t-shirts and gear for this album, and that's great. But if you're in the US, and if you order one CD, you can also order via, I don't know, somewhere in the US or
Okay.
via the record company, because it's just cheaper with postal costs. So
Yeah.
um listen to on Spotify, it's all fine with me. But if you really, if you want to buy a bunch of stuff, go
You're
to
right.
my website. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be, thank you so much. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
And
that's really
what can you
helpful.
buy there? Everything you've been on, or your solo thing only, or for
Some
this?
solo stuff,
Yeah.
just some back catalog, mostly the new album. I have some cool vinyls there,
Oh,
and digipacks. It's all limited stuff, and I have some cool apparel and some. How do you say these tiles that you put on the wall? The tiles with the wise words on it, like
oh
there's a
yeah.
name for it. I have some chunks of lyrics on a cute
Nice.
little tile you can hang on the wall. It's so
Oh,
cute, all of
nice.
it. So yeah, so thank you for the plug, man. It's great.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's what this is all about. We're just
Oh,
I'm just trying to
thanks.
fill interesting content to that part because that's the only part that we're really here for.
Well, thanks. I mean, that's a lot. That shows a lot of support, man.
Oh yeah.
We're super happy with that. Thanks.
Yeah, well, great. Well, I'm going to do the sign off, but hang with me after I sign off, okay? And we'll talk a
Okay.
little bit. I want to thank Annie for letting me call her Annie, first of all, and for being with me, spending a half hour with me. And we'll release this right when the album comes out, this video, and we'll plug it as best we can, okay?
Thank you.
Anneke van Giersbergen.